Aimee.
We're AV squared.
We're going to talk about the A's and B's of K-pop with you today.
Yeah, today, welcome to episode 4.
Not just today. Any day, any given day, we would talk about K-pop.
Yeah, but not episode 4.
I know, but we're trying to limit it to a podcast so that our friends and family get a break from hearing about K-pop all the time.
That hasn't happened yet.
Everyone has their fingers crossed for me.
Oh. I never made that promise to anyone. Now they have to hear, like, I have a podcast, and they look at me like, oh, really? You did it? Oh.
Great.
All right. Well, today...
No, we're excited. We know you love it. It's important.
We do. I like talking about it. And drinking soju. That makes me happy. Okay, episode 4.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the companies and their treatment of the artists. And this came up because you sent me the English version of the article that Namjoon did with the Spanish outlet.
Right.
I think they briefly touched on this, but this was a topic that I wanted to talk about, but let's do it now because it's really out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really topical. So how the companies treat their artists and the whole system. So I'll just preface this. So our next episode is going to tie into this, but for now we'll start with, SM Entertainment founder Lee Soo-man is credited as starting the model that trainees use today. So kids and young men and young women get inducted as a trainee into this entertainment business. And then all of the things that go along with that, which we'll talk about, are credited that he started.
Okay.
But then he also has been credited with starting this, what they call the slave contract, right? Where initially his contracts were 13 years. Good Lord. And it was TVXQ, which was a second generation band that debuted probably I think in 2004-ish, maybe 3. 3 of them sued SM Entertainment to get out of their contracts because slave labor, because of a 13-year contract, and because there was really no transparency about how much money they owed back to the company, and so they weren't really getting paid,
right.
And the courts sided with them, and since then the courts have done a number of things to try and make it better, although I don't know that they have so much. But that's, I think, where we can start.
Okay.
Maybe we talk a little bit about how it may have changed, but since I'm not a trainee, I don't know.
Well, there are 3 big idol companies in Korea, right? SM, JYP, and YG.
Those were known as the big 3.
The big 3.
YG and SM had been downgraded to second level, and
right.
Now it's Aimee.
And Big Hit, which started with BTS was their first band, they're now called Hybe Entertainment. Hybe. And anyway, but they started out when they hired the BTS guys. That was their first band. One of the guys was as young as 15 when they signed a multi-year contract to be trained. Yeah, I heard about this story you're talking about where these guys weren't making any money and no one was reporting how much the company was making. It was just all black box.
You get to be a trainee, then you usually go live in their dorms, and you get lessons in acting and singing and dancing.
Buy all your food from the company store.
Right, and so, but it's like on your account, and you have to pay them back.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, if you debut, so trainees go and they work really hard, and then the company decides if you're going to debut or not. And if you debut, then oftentimes you don't have to pay all of that back, unless you breach your contract. But then a lot of times the companies were like canceling your contract due to some morality clause, and then you'd have to pay them back anyway. So there was this really shady bits going on. But you are in so much debt, and it was never transparent about what your account balance was, and then how much are you bringing in, and then they're taking off what you owe them, but you're still racking up expenses because you still got
medical school.
No, well,
it's like being a resident.
I guess it is.
Yeah, it's like being an intern.
Okay.
Okay, but also like maybe I think medical students are abused. Like they have to do 48-hour shifts.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So mean, I think that's a really, I don't know. I like this. It's an interesting psychological evaluation of how that trainee model works, but yet it sets up a lot of breakdowns. So, I mean, you get this like whole variety of training, but the company owns you.
Yeah.
You forfeit your cell phone. You sign this contract that's like you can't date, you can't do anything, and you can't make, I don't know, it's just really tough. And
they decide when you go in the military.
They decide if you debut, like they decide your whole future. And then another thing I find so interesting, Aimee, is that the company is the one who puts the band together. They're like, you're going to be in this band, you're going to be in this band, you're going to be in this band, and this is your concept, and now you're all going to go live together, and then you'll debut this day. And you don't get to decide the name of your band.
I know, you're super offended about that for Super Junior. They wouldn't have chosen that name.
No, who would have chosen that? Sometimes the company even decides your stage name.
Yeah.
And you don't really have a lot of control over that. And that is something really foreign to us in the States. Because I can only think of one in NSYNC that was kind of formulated in that manner, like artificially.
Yeah.
I was already too old to follow NSYNC, so I never really was a fan. But most bands in the States are organic. They're like, let's join a band, let's form it, what are we gonna name it? And all of that is taken away from the artists. And because they want to debut and they want, this career in music, they go along with it, or this career in acting.
Well, certainly young people and artists are taken advantage of in the United States too. That's a global phenomenon where we take advantage of young people who are talented, because why not?
No, that's a good point.
But it seems like, and there always is a rumor about, K-pop's the worst. Like that's kind of like the story that you hear about it, but then I don't know.
Well, I'm going to say that I don't think K-pop is the worst. I don't know that you can actually put a value on what's worst or not.
Yeah.
Because you're right, there's abuse everywhere when people have dreams, when young people have dreams, whether it be of being rich and famous or stardom or just this career they want. It does put them at risk for predators.
Yep.
But the institutionalized nature, though, the other thing about this company's treatment of artists is the profits. So when you go back to like how much you're going to owe them, so I pulled up this breakdown from 2018 and from different agencies, and like so physical sales, so merchandise, and albums, t-shirts, all that stuff. Like SM takes 95% of that profit, right? YG 50, that's not bad. JYP 50, Big Hit 50, Pledis 80, Cube 80, FNC 60, Starship only takes 20%.
Oh, that's where I'm going to debut.
Yeah.
Over on Starship.
That's right.
I've never heard of
Events, SM takes 60%. That seems to be about standard. Big Hit 50, Pledis 70%.
And that's profit. That's after they've already paid for all of the travel and the venue for the concert.
Yeah, that's the profit. And so and then overseas promotion is where the band can actually make some money. So because the companies want to push you overseas, because Korea is such a saturated market, there's only a fixed number of people in Korea. I mean, there's a lot of people
50
there.
million.
But it's a closed system in that there's so many K-pop idols. They need to branch out because of all the ways the company does everything else. But SM will then give you 30-70. And that seems to be about, Pledis will do 20-80, but 30-70 is about, right? JYP 50-50. But then if you have 13 members, so you're getting out of 50-50, let's say you get a 50-50 deal. The company's getting 50% of the profits, and then you gotta split 50% 13 ways.
Yeah. Like
the only way you're ever gonna pay back your debt is if you
work for the rest of your life.
Work for the rest of your life. Or you don't even know what your debt is. don't even know what your freaking debt is.
So one of the interesting things I read the other day is that the members of BTS, there's 7 artists, and they are rich. They're really rich. Like Suga's the richest, because he also does producing and stuff like that on the side. But the 7 of them have a higher net worth than all the other companies combined. That's what I heard. So
Well, because they got what
so
is
rich.
Big Hit? Big Hit's a 30/70 for international.
And they're big. And
one of the other things the companies do, which, oh my God, I can't believe that. This is where I draw the line, right? Is that they want you to buy the albums multiple times. They put those trading cards in them.
Yeah.
So these poor kids in Korea buy all these different albums, but I read this article the other day.
It's not just kids in Korea.
I know, it's true.
It's moms in Texas, and it's
no,
teenagers in Florida.
So for an event, say an event in Korea, if you can show multiple receipts for how many albums you bought, it's like a lottery. You get more chances to meet the members.
Oh.
So those are the physical sales, which like SM is taking 95% of, but they're using their band as the commodity,
right.
And they're not getting any, especially dividing it by 13 or even 7. You're not getting any profit out of that, and you're a slave to that system. So I guess the slave metaphor works well here. So like, I guess the question is, do you think that this system is toxic? Any more?
Well,
so
there
are
plenty of stories and anecdotes of people, like one of the bands you like a lot. They sued their manager because they were being abused, like physically abused, like hurt, or just yelled at all the time.
Oh, Omega X.
Yeah.
Physically and emotionally.
Physically abused.
That's another episode.
Yeah. I mean, there are lots of stories about people burning out, or this guy lost his entire career because he was charged with marijuana possession or something like that.
Yeah, and like literally the controversies come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then it ruins their careers. Yeah, that's another topic too.
Do I think it's toxic?
All day.
So Namjoon recently went to. He's our president. He's the leader of BTS. He's the only one that speaks English very fluently, but they're all learning. They're amazing in Korean and Japanese and whatever other languages they know. But so you mostly kind of hear from him. And when he was in Spain, he did an interview with the Spanish magazine where they asked questions like, "Did it ruin your life to be in BTS?"
Yeah, it totally ruined my life.
And his answers were so like
thoughtful? Not
the company line. Yeah, they were thoughtful, and they were kind of like surprising because they usually do all toe the company line, but
BTS members have a lot more freedom than others.
Right.
That's true. But one thing I will say this about across the board that I find from Korean K-pop idols is, man, they're a very thoughtful group of people.
BTS in particular? Or
all of them. But BTS, yeah, I mean, for their age and sometimes just their reflections strike me as well beyond their years in wisdom. Yeah. Whether it's sunk in totally or not, I don't know, but it does. I mean, the system obviously produces some amazing talent. But you just think of I don't know what the statistics are of like how many people actually debut versus how many trainees get sent home and drop out. But that they use it too as like an emotional whipping tool. So Jimin was like in and out, and they weren't sure if they were gonna send him home. And for a young adult, for a teenager, how do you process that pressure? Ye-sung, when he was an adult by then, legally I guess, when they were gonna debut Super Junior, and it was like they just kept adding members in, and it was always like, oh, if we get enough vocalists, Ye-sung's out. And how you can, I don't think I could be an exec in that kind of a field where you're toying with these young adults' dreams and their lives, and then just like dangling in front of them and then taking it away or giving it out.
I really only do that pretty much to my kids, not other people's kids.
That's good.
But I think this conversation makes me think that people sometimes think K-pop is like a pretty face and packaged songs, and that's not what I don't think that. I think that these guys can be incredibly talented and really smart and have a lot of other things that they could do. Or
because can you imagine BTS without Jimin?
No, that's what they always say. Like J-Hope tried to quit one time, and the other guy cried, and I think
J-Hope
hard,
is gonna quit on his own volition.
Yeah.
Versus Jimin being like, oh, I don't think you're gonna pass this time. I don't know, Jimin, you're probably gonna be sent home.
I can't imagine. But I'm grateful because the amount of happiness that it's brought me. Like, I love this music and I love their dancing, and I liked for them to be able to speak to the UN and to be able to speak, to our president. And yeah, I think they're amazing, and they're not just pretty faces. I mean, I think that they're gorgeous, and K-pop idols in general are obviously good looking, but they're also talented.
I mean,
thoughtful,
SM was
smart.
the company known for only taking a certain like physically attractive members.
Yeah.
Or trainees. There is this. They used to, I don't know if they still do this, but you hear all these terms like they scout in public square and go up to you like, do you want to be an actor?
Yeah.
And that's how Jin was scouted.
That's how Jin was scouted. Jin is worldwide handsome. He's the oldest member of BTS, and he was in film school. Yeah. He was in college, and they came up to him a couple of times, a few years apart.
So
and said,
just going
come
on
join this because you're so good looking.
Your physical beauty, and then there's so much pressure, right, for them to be super thin,
right?
Like abnormally thin, and then the strict moral thing, like you have to follow all this stuff. So I feel like there are parts of this that are just, there's parts of it I think are so damaging to kids at that age, because teenagers are still kids whether you're 14 or 18,
right?
But also, they're producing so much talent, but in the end, so much of success is luck.
Right.
I mean, of some amazingly talented people that just never got the break for whatever the reason is. So much of stuff is luck, and then it just all falls into place. But you have to have the talent to back it up.
Yeah.
If you don't have the talent to back it up, then you might as well be Psy.
Well, I like. I think Psy's talented. He's so successful. My gosh, she's got a problem with him. But I'd also like to listen to what the guys are saying about their experience. And BTS has on several occasions said, "We love to work with this company. They're looking out for us. We're happy to be successful with them. We willingly signed our contracts with them at this point." And so I'm kind of trusting them at this point. Those guys in particular are big enough that if they want to do something different, they would, right? Yeah. And they did. They decided they wanted to do something different, so they're doing a little bit more control
of their lives. I think Super Junior is probably the only band I know of that they actually have their own label under SM, so they're almost like their own subsidiary. So now, like Big Hit Music is a subsidiary of Hive.
Right.
SM or Super Junior has their own label under SM. Yeah. And so that means the team of people that work on their projects only work on Super Junior. And I don't know of any other band that's been able to do that. So you do get to a point where, yes, you have more control over your destiny, I guess. But I think there's good and bad. Can't argue with the results. But, I love them. But I do think that money thing is just not right.
There's a lot of, the money is huge though.
That's not right. 50-50, that's asinine.
Well, I don't know. Maybe that's regular for.
It is regular for them, but for there.
Well, for the U.S., I don't even know.
No.
Because Halsey's complained about her contracts and.
Oh yeah, I think when you're a new artist in the U.S. and you get a record deal, you're screwed, Royal.
Yeah, Taylor Swift got ripped off and had to re-record her songs.
So. You're right. Okay, good point. I give you that.
The whole world mistreats these beautiful people who we just love and speak to.
So maybe it's not as toxic as I think. It is different, and I think that's the fascinating part. Mostly I just want them all to be happy.
I just want them to be happy.
Okay. All right. Well, let's end there on a happy note.
Do you want to do a Korean word?
Yeah.
Okay. What's yours?
Okay, so I'm gonna do a word that I was doing like learn 50 or 100 words, and I would skip over this one all the time because I was like, I'm never gonna use that word. And then I heard J-Hope use it, and I was like, it's imprinted in my brain. Pakibole.
Pakibole. I don't know what it means.
Cockroach.
Cockroach. Like, are the cockroaches the same as like there as they are here? Or maybe it's just it. Did he use it in a song?
No,
I'm sure he used it in a diss song.
He was saying he was talking about something that he really hated, and he hates cockroaches.
Nice.
He hates pakibole, and I was like, I've been skipping over that word, and now it's in my brain.
Maybe that's why it's on
and
the
I
list.
also hate them, and I think that whenever I put too much thought into them, it creeps me out.
Yeah.
But now I have decided I like the word pakibole.
Very good. Thanks, J-Ho.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the word sarangheo, which means I love you.
Sarangheo.
Sarangheo.
Yeah. True.
That's kind of a polite, not the politest way to say it, but it's a polite way to say it. There we go. That's if you're speaking to the president of your company, say that. But sarangheo.
Yeah, sarangheo. Good one.
BTS says that to Army a lot, and Army says it to them a lot.
There you go.
With little heart fingers.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, Navy Squares, where I don't know that we definitively answered anything today, but it was a good discussion.